It's a very good news. Mahomes, and you'll see it in a moment, able to walk back to the locker room under his own power. We'll have much more on this coming up in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, there's still a game to be played, and the Chiefs defense needs to rise up and do something, and oh yeah, that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, look, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo and basically a brand new defensive staff have been under the gun. They needed the Chiefs to have this kind of performance on the defensive side of the ball, and they stepped up big time last night.
And if you're asking yourself, who is Mahomes' backup? Maybe you didn't know. There's the answer. It's Matt Moore. And here comes Tyreek Hill. He's still got the speed, and he's getting behind the defense, and you're certainly not going to catch him.
If you can just put the ball on these playmakers that they have in the perimeter and coming out of the backfield, you're going to be okay. The question is, can Matt Moore do this consistently? Because this is what he's going to need to do. He's going to need to be a distributor, need to be a point guard if he's going to keep this train rolling for the foreseeable future.
30-6. It rolled last night. You see Mahomes celebrating after the game. Let's talk.
I feel terrible for Pat. I wish him well. I hope the best for him. I don't know what it is, but that was hard to see. But knowing you got to go in, you kind of got to get your head straight real quick and go try and win a ball game.
We've seen teams that let themselves down after one of your best players or the best player gets hurt, in particular the quarterback. And I was proud that our guys just stepped up and kept battling and really everybody upped their game, I thought.
So Mahomes, after the game, you saw him in there in the locker room, and he tweeted this: awesome team win, love my brothers, thank you for all the prayers, everything looking good so far, hashtag God is good, hashtag Chiefs Kingdom. Earlier, we had Adam Schefter with the very latest.
Well, Greeny, I think right now the Chiefs believe this was the best case scenario, but that is prior to the MRI today and what amounts to basically the most important MRI in franchise history. The feeling going into that MRI is that Patrick Mahomes is going to be out at least 3 weeks, which would sideline him for games against the Packers, Vikings, and Titans. But we don't know what that MRI is going to show up. We don't know if it's going to reveal ligament damage. And if it reveals ligament damage, then it could be that Patrick Mahomes would face season-ending surgery. But again, going in, they don't believe that's the case, but they don't know that's the case. And that's why today's MRI is so important for this team going forward.
So we've talked about this a lot, obviously, this morning, from big picture and small. Let's go small picture, and let's assume the best case scenario is what we get here, that he misses 3 or 4 weeks. They have 4 more games before a bye. So let's even make that like a nice round number. They've got a bye week. And then what do you think the impact is on the Chiefs looking forward if that's the prognosis?
Yeah, just assume, like you said, that it's a 4 weeks out. You'll be back after that bye week. But this is the problem now. Is the Chiefs have a loss to the Colts, they have a loss to the Texans. The Patriots are most likely going to get the number 1 seed. And so they're going to be now looking at potentially winning the West and playing in wild card weekend. And no team has come out of wild card weekend and advanced to the Super Bowl since the 2012 Ravens. And so this is a rough situation for Kansas City because everybody viewed them as the team that would be able to take down the Patriots because of Pat Mahomes and that potent offense.
Let's say that again and really emphasize it. No team has made it to the Super Bowl having to play in wild card weekend since 2012. Think how many teams make the playoffs. It goes to show you getting that bye has become critical, and this could seriously jeopardize Kansas City.
But even with Mahomes, we weren't talking about the Kansas City Chiefs as a Super Bowl team because their defense stinks. And that's why we were looking at them and saying, well, even if you have Mahomes, you're going to win games 41-38. But when you get to the Patriots of the world, you're still not going to get to the Super Bowl because your defense isn't good enough. Now, what we saw yesterday is encouraging for Kansas City. But if they don't fix that side of the ball, it doesn't matter what happens on the offensive side.
It's interesting because last year their defense was terrible and they were basically a coin toss at the start of overtime for making it to the Super Bowl. Can they get there? If Mahomes comes back and is healthy and is able to play at 100% whenever it may be, do you still consider them with that defense to be a Super Bowl contender?
They got to go 2-2 these next 4 weeks. Best case would be 3-1. Get to the bye week, get Mahomes back. I mean, we're fingers crossed that that's.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's still a possibility. Look, they were on offsides away last year. A player lining up in the neutral zone away from being the AFC representative in the Super Bowl with a defense that stunk. Okay, and everybody would acknowledge that they stunk. That's why they revamped the entire thing from the coaching staff on down on that side of the ball. So what does Matt Moore need to do? He needs to do exactly what Andy Reid is talking about. He just needs to hold down the fort. That's why right now, roster construction, as far as the makeup of your backup quarterback, every team has to nail that, and Matt Moore has the perfect temperament. He knows who he is. He knows who he's not. And he just needs to go. You're right. If they can split and go 2-2, they go 3-1, then they're right where they belong anyway.
And you look at what that offense was doing last night, even with Pat Mahomes, he was on the bad ankle, so he wasn't running around making these classic throws that we see him make each and every week where he's out of the pocket, throwing from 14 different arm slots. He was sitting in the pocket, getting the ball out quick. In comes Matt Moore, same thing. Some play action, sit in the pocket, get the ball out quick, don't overexpose that offensive line.
And the next point I want to make as we sort of spin this to the big picture side of what we're looking at here, which means the impact on the league. I'm kind of glad that John Vilma is sitting as far away from me as he is right now, because I fear his reaction to this comment. Patrick Mahomes is the most important player in football. In my opinion, he has become the most important player in football because we are in an era now of high flying. You mentioned earlier, your daughter knows who he is, loves him. Kids everywhere love him, know who he is, love the style of play. Fantasy football is such an incredibly important part of what we do right now, and he is the fantasy player of the entire sport, certainly at the quarterback position. So this is a blow. I do not think, I'm looking right at you, John Vilma.
Yeah, I hear you.
I know you love linebackers.
I hear you.
This would be a devastating blow for the National Football League if he is out for the season.
Yes, I do agree that it would be a devastating blow. What I don't agree with is if the NFL then decides to try and make some more rules to protect the quarterback. That's what I don't agree with. Because, exactly. There you have a freak injury, and a lot of the injuries this season have been freak injuries to the quarterback position. But I hate that it gets magnified in the offseason because, as you said, people want their fantasy points. People want to see the quarterbacks throw the ball, and I agree with that. But don't start to now try to tweak the rules where, okay, now you can't tackle low. That's not football.
Sanchez, if he were to lose a little bit of his mobility, if you were not with us earlier, I don't want to get into all the details of the injury, but you had a reasonably similar injury yourself. You said when you came back you had to wear a brace.
He's definitely going to wear a brace when he comes back.
And he will definitely wear a brace. How will that impact his mobility, and how does that impact his game?
Listen, he's so good off schedule. It's him and Russell Wilson, maybe Deshaun Watson as off-schedule quarterbacks, top 3 in the league. So if he loses any of that playmaking ability, that changes their whole offense. Now they got to be perfect. Things have to work in time, in rhythm, and sometimes that's not his best attribute. Sometimes being off schedule is better for them. So, you're just hoping for the best.
You look at a lot of the big plays Pat Mahomes makes. It's him running around, buying time, and then all of a sudden you see Tyreek Hill 45 yards down the field getting behind him. And so that's what he gives you. And without that, Andy Reid's a great play caller, but the offense just looks a lot different as far as how explosive they ultimately are.
Final thought for now.
Yeah, I think some of the explosive plays, the plus 20-yard plays come down, but I think the efficiency improves. And really what it could do is it could benefit Pat in the long run anyway. Because now the cerebral part of his game takes off and explodes.
I like that.
And look, Andy's one of those guys who doesn't just draw up plays and go, everybody run, and you just pick an open guy. His offense is very intricate, very detailed. And this may help Pat in the long run anyway.
All right, well, we'll see. One way or another. We'll have much more on this and more football as we continue. But now we get to the other huge game of the night last night. It was Game 4 in the Bronx, Astros and Yankees. And the American League has been a tough stretch for the Cowboys. On Sunday, they lost to the Jets 24-22, their third straight loss. Slow starts have been an issue for the Cowboys this year. Dak Prescott looking to change that this weekend.
Yeah, it's been very frustrating. As you said, when our back's against the walls and we got to get going, we got to score points, we just somehow we do. So we've got to figure that out and play with that same mentality, that same urgency from the first play of the game. And if we do that, we'll put ourselves in good position for these games moving forward. It's a mindset, it's a mentality, and it starts there. So if we've got to go in the game saying, hey, we're down 14, we got to tell ourselves that's what we'll do, but we'll start off faster.
All right, it feels like basically every play is a referendum on Dak Prescott in his entire career. But, Vilma, you've put together some tape to give us a look at what you're seeing from Prescott right now.
Yeah, I see a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. And hopefully when he sees himself and critiques himself and the coaches talk about his play, that he can evolve to be a great quarterback, because that's what everyone's hoping and aspiring for him to be. When you watch him play, especially here against the Green Bay Packers, he's identifying man or zone, right? And he finally identified that it's man coverage. Zeke comes back in to protect. Now, you look at the time, it's only down 14 points with some time left in the fourth quarter. Take the easy throw. The easy throw right here is this guy coming right across, as opposed to trying to go for your guy Gallup. Take the man right in front of you. That is the easiest throw for any quarterback in football. Lead him, and then again, man coverage, you go. I see that it might have been pass interference. The point is, let's make the right throw. Down here, now look, you're down 13 points in the third quarter. It's 3rd and goal. push the issue. If you're a quarterback, you don't want to settle for the check down. They're going to give you the check down. This is called red two coverage in the red zone. And so the Jets said, fine, we're going to cover everybody and then let this check down be wide open. But if you're a great quarterback, I've seen Drew Brees do it, I've seen Tom Brady do it, I'm going to look to my check down first and then get this guy, Tavon Austin, open. How do I do that? Manipulate the defense and force the linebackers to look where you're looking. Instead, he looks at Tavon Austin, they all slide there and leave the check down open. If you're doing that, yeah, that's good. He didn't turn the ball over. They get 3 points out of it. But we're talking about being a great quarterback. He still has room to work on.
Boy, these are the tiny little things, but they make a big difference. What do you expect this Sunday night?
Yeah, I expect him really to light it up. I expect it to be an aerial show on both sides of the ball, both for Dallas and for Philadelphia, because if you remember now, if you ask, Sam Darnold how the Dallas Cowboys secondary looks, it's not all of a sudden he's going to be like, oh, they'll shut you down.
Right.
Look, he put the ball in the air against them early and often and moved it up and down the field. Dak needs help. He needs people to start catching the ball. He needs Michael Gallup to start catching the ball. He needs Amari Cooper on the field. He needs his offensive coordinator to stop calling quarterback sweeps on 4th and 2 down on the 7-yard line.
I guess you didn't like that call, Louis.
No, I didn't like that call at all. And it kind of really just stuck in my head. But Dak right now, the statistics show that he's a top 5 passer in the NFL. And he's a guy who will continue to evolve and continue to improve.
So you have not lost any faith. A very quick final thought here. Yeah. You've not lost any faith. You've been on his bandwagon all year.
I thought the best point you guys were talking about, one, he's got to get a little better. He's got to play a little better, look inside and look in the mirror and play better. He's got to get some help, man. Help the guy.
Well, I have bad news.
Guys on the field.
I have bad news for that. Literally, I was told as you were commenting in my ear, Field Yates just tweeted Amari Cooper likely out for this game on Sunday, which will not help at all. Let me get up and go here. A couple of other notes. You mentioned Sam Darnold. He's feeling very confident after the win on Sunday. Not exactly known for bold statements, but Sam Darnold opened some eyes when he said this yesterday.
Once all the guys are back together, I think, we're unstoppable as an offense, or we can be. It's just up to us how much we execute or how well we go out there and play. So it's really up to us, how many points we score. I think we're capable of scoring so many points, and with our offensive line too, the way they played last game, with the way we've been running the ball and the way they've been protecting, I think sky's the limit for us.
Bobby, are you buying what Sam Darnold is selling?
I am. Talking to Tony Romo when he was coming out, he thought he reminded him a lot of Peyton Manning. He finished last season on fire the last 3 games, and he's been fantastic, obviously, when he returned this year. And keep in mind, he's only 22 years old. He was 6 of 9 on intermediate throws against the Cowboys. Those are the toughest throws for quarterbacks to make. He has been fantastic, and that's why that Jets offense should be humming.
Bobby, unstoppable, though?
I want that entire comment as my ringtone.
Hey,
moving forward.
Unstoppable?
Moving forward.
Whoa.
As the start of the NBA regular season nears, Zion Williamson will be sitting out the Pelicans preseason finale tonight with right knee soreness. There's some concern here. Adrian Wojnarowski, what's the deal?
I'm told this is not your normal preseason rest, that there is knee soreness and they want to get it evaluated, and that we're going to know more in the next 24 hours. But Zion Williamson stayed back in Louisiana. The team's in New York playing tomorrow night at the Garden. And so we'll know more, but they're certainly going to be extra cautious with Zion Williamson at this early juncture in his career. And he's going to get some testing done on that right knee soreness.
Is there reason to be concerned? There is. I mean, remember, at Duke, he missed those 5 games after he blew through his shoe. In the Summer League, he tweaked his knee in the opener, didn't play the rest of the games, and now slated to miss at least the final preseason game tonight against the Knicks, and we'll see what happens from there. All right, we're just getting this hour rolling here on Get Up. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes' injury not having just an impact on the Chiefs. Is it the worst-case scenario for the NFL? We'll discuss. And is Jalen Ramsey ready to make an immediate impact for the Rams? And if he can, does that even matter? We answer those questions and more. You're watching Get Up on ESPN.